That's the rods. We really need to send up the space scaffolding ingredients. How does that even happen? A strategic move of the cannon later. I'm pretty confident we can start working on science. Assuming I didn't forget anything, which I probably did. After pointing a capsule at the platform and landing nowhere near it, I'll expand a bit. Expand again with the fancy platforms I found. Then we can start building utility science, which needs a space manufactory. But to make one, I'll need some cosmic water. According to the wiki, robots will only crash if there's more than 50 flying at a time, so I'll use 50 logistics robots to deliver materials from the landing pads, which I still need to unload. Cosmic water is made in a decontamination facility, so I'll make one, throw it down, and set the recipe. Water and lube. I have plenty of ice for the water, but I didn't bring a single barrel of lube with me, and I didn't automate barreling it anywhere. Great. Actually, remember when I accidentally wanted to send lube to Turgman? Well, the pipes are still over here, so I can commandeer this cannon and chuck the capsules into orbit. While grabbing ice to melt, turns out I already had a manufactory, but I will need a couple more. So after dumping in the lube, looks like we need more space assemblers. I'm glad I brought these buffer chests from Navi's orbit. The reason I'm rushing utility science first is so we can unlock logistics system to finally make requester chests and build a bot mall. We have all of the ingredients for the science on hand, except for cool thermal fluid and machine learning data. Cool thermal fluid is made in radiators from uncool thermal fluid, which is made of heavy oil, chemical gel, sulfur, and, weirdly, iron and copper plates. All of that is somehow mixed together in a biochemical facility, which we don't have the glass or blue circuits for. Back down we go. Land, blue, and flu. I forgot the glass, but at least we can make more space assemblers. You have got to be kidding me. I forgot I already had a stack of glass in my inventory, so a few pumps later, there's a biochemical facility. It's pretty big, and we can do everything from oil refining to cracking and thermal fluid. To make the thermal fluid, we're going to need some heavy oil, and petroleum for the chemical gel. But if you remember, I planned on doing all of the oil production up here, so we'll just need a few more bioplants. I will need to ship up crude oil though, which is easily accomplished with another assembler and a very ugly oil pipe. Almost forgot about the rods. I'll send them up. Next up on the to-do list of to-doity is machine learning data, which is made in supercomputers. Lots of expensive buildings today. After making another space manufactory for some reason, out comes our first supercomputer. I'll name it Frostburg. Frostburg needs green circuits, blank data cards, and cool thermal fluid to make machine learning data. It also makes scrap as a byproduct. I have a feeling we'll be dealing with a lot of scrap up here. The blank data cards are made with red circuits, copper plates, and polished data storage substrate, which is way too long of a name, so we'll call them PDs. To make the PD, you need to polish their rough equivalent, which are made of glass, silicon, and iron plates. But there's no silicon up here, so once again, we'll have to launch it up later with the cannon. The space manufactories have a crafting speed of 10, and according to my calc here, that means they're around 10 times faster than the regular space assemblers. Calc is short for calculator, by the way. We won't be launching rockets worth of resources up here anytime soon, so I'll reclaim the space in space to build more space on space, then start organizing all of the buildings for utility science, which will also need to hook up to thermal fluid. It looks like all of the buildings with thermal fluid have a hot and a cold side, so routing pipes might be a little strange. With Frostburg in place, I'll add a manufactory for the data cards, then we need to decide how we're going to polish the PDs. You can either polish them with cosmic water, which gives contaminated cosmic water and scrap as byproducts, or you can polish them with chemical gel, which is more expensive but doesn't have any byproducts to deal with. I don't want to waste room dealing with contaminated cosmic water, so I'll opt for the gel, which we still can't set up since we haven't cracked any oil yet, but we need more bioplants for that. And we're still short on glass, since all of the bots are building solar panels instead of building the chests I need. I can't just unplug the solar panels to force the bots to come back, since we kind of need the power from them. We could copy all of the pending solar panels and build them later, but I can't get a good copy of them without radars. There is some stone up here we could make glass with, but we would need 100 production science to unlock the mechanical facility, which we can't make either since it also needs machine learning data, and I forgot to set up lithium for plasma stream. So with my head hung in shame, back down I go. After coating the concrete island in radars, I'll bust the ghosts. Then I'll build everything the bots didn't: oil, silicon, and glass. With the glass in hand, I'll head back up and make the bioplants. Working our way backwards, PDs need chemical gel and rough PDs. One bio for the gel and an assembler for the rough. The rough also makes scrap. Fun! I'll send up the silicon, then start piecing together the oil setup. Using the different lengths of space pipes to be efficient definitely slows me down a bit, but that's cracking. A couple comically long pipes later, that's chemical gel and blank data cards. After putting those into Frostburg, now we just need the awesome thermofluid. I'll cannibalize some of the platform, then start setting it up. It was a little strange to fit in here, but I eventually got it all hooked up. Except I forgot to make the boring thermofluid take a chill pill. So with hot properly on top, I'll make a scary amount of copper wire, and a radiator to cool off the fluid. You lose a little bit of thermofluid when you cool it down. Hopefully there's a way to improve it later. After plugging in the space heater and hooking up the pipes, the machine starts learning, and we don't have any space belts. Great. A quick lube run and some hand feeding later. That's utility science. 102 hours. The power situation up here is pretty dismal though, but who cares? We've got science. Now we just need some labs to put it in, which are still over in Navis orbit. We should also make some production science too, just to make sure we can mass produce it later. I still need to set up lithium, but we can put a pin in that, since what we really care about is the logistics research. We'll bolt over to Navis orbit, tear everything except water ice down, then ship everything down one load at a time. One final trip down, a few improvements to stone production, then we'll ship all of the tech cards and buildings up to Karis orbit. I'll set up the science off to the side. I also brought that Productivity 9 module with me. We have quite a bit of scrap on hand now, which we can turn into landfill with the recycling facility. You can also make ores out of it. Maybe later. Then I'll set space science back up, and keep an eye on utility science. The only problem is we aren't cannoning up crude oil nearly fast enough, which really slows down our production speed. After cranking out more space belts, we should really set up lithium instead of just standing around. So I reorganized a bit, took a quick gander at my junk, then flew back down. Lithium is made from lithium chloride, which needs mineral water. Once I prevented any cliffhangers, I started building lithium, but since it takes hydrogen chloride as an ingredient, we need a grand total of 3 electrolysis plants, which are going to suck back a ton of power. Thankfully, we can just plug the plants directly in. Once the fluids and sands of lime have been handled, I'll replicate it, duplicate it, hook in the stone, and plug in the water. Mineral water is the proverbial missing link, so we'll need a new pipe for that, and a train to go with it. Miraculously, the mineral water is mere meters away from the main rail. A quick rundown, I'll run the rail down, drill for Flint, Michigan water, and pump that purple goodness onto the train. Once the Dasani train departed, I hooked it in, and we're making lithium. Unrelated to liquids, our overflowing kyanite container is no longer containing said kyanite. Turns out I forgot to set the cannon to stop when the chest filled up. After sweeping the ice under the fridge, I have some excess chlorine from the lithium setup. I would use it to mine the rare metals, but that's pretty far away, so I'll just burn it. Meteor on Navis, right on copper enrichment. I should really set up meteor defense. Up goes the lithium, up goes the me, and pop goes the weasel. I'll turn off utility science to stockpile some machine learning data for production science. Speaking of which, I'll make a plasma generator. Lithium and chemical gel goes in, and out comes the fourth state of matter. I'll plug it into the manufactory, bring over the gel, and toss in some lithium. It's pretty darn slow, but eventually, there's the stream. I should have all of the other ingredients on hand, so I'll go grab everything. I don't remember building this, and I don't have any footage of me building it, but this is an automatic oil delivery chest that I never finished setting up. I'll finish it later. One requester chest and a loud explosion later, some meteors flew by, and it's a good thing I can grapple onto nothing. And just like that, production science, 105 hours. It's not really automated, but it was just a side quest anyways. I'll turn utility science back on to keep working towards logistics system. We keep running out of oil, so using the mysterious oil delivery system, we'll ship more up. That is, if we actually had enough power. I'm still not seeing any fancy new space power tech, and Kovrax is still locked behind production science. What I did see, however, is that beacons have been tweaked to have 8 module slots and only draw 100 kilowatts, which is insanely low. And they're super cheap to make as well. I'll definitely have to look into those later. Making more power up here is definitely a job best suited for condenser turbines, but we'll just have to boil the water the old-fashioned way. I'll head down and set up the other half of the oil delivery system, then get the materials for making power in space. Unfortunately, I can't use fuel refineries for extra fuel up on the space platform, so plain old rocket fuel will have to do, which we're starting to run really low on. Hopefully we'll get another shipment soon. Oh, looks like Navis was already on it. Up and away we go. It's quite strange mixing boilers with space pipes and filling those boilers with burner inserters. Quite the clash of technologies. After hooking in the water, we're turning some binds. The power output is not very clean, but if electronics taught me anything, a capacitor should smooth it out, which it did. Still not quite enough power for the transmitter though, so I'll puke a couple solar panels onto the floor. After setting the channel, we've got oil. Our limiting factor is definitely Frostburg here. We'll probably need a bunch of these in the future. PDs also take a lot of babysitting, which is a pity, but not too annoying. We're using quite a lot of low-density structure to make scaffolding. I considered giving it its own cargo rocket, but there's not too many things that are made with it, so we'll just have to make what we need on site. Some blazingly fast iron for PDs, then we ran out of copper for the data cards. If only there was a way to get a bunch more quickly. Sending it up with cannons is pretty slow, since the logistics spots are being spread pretty thin. Or, you know, we could use the cargo rockets that I've been working on for the past 30 hours. Just a thought. With the landing pad set up, I gave the launch command to Copper and Iron. Copper landed smoothly, but Iron, well, it decided to go to Navis instead. Oh well, I'll refill the data cards. I shipped in a couple bots from Navis to speed up cannoning just a tad. Then brought more silicon back up with me. I changed my mind about the scrap recycling. Since we occasionally get heavy oil from it, I think it's worth storing the excess ore. I do need more iron though, which comes in on a lightly loaded rocket. Restocking PD production is quite the effort, but it is nice to take a break once in a while. And there it is, logistics system. With logistics chests in our arsenal, we'll be unstoppable. First order of business will definitely be cleaning up the platform, and maybe we should actually build some mass ejection defenses this time. But there is a bunch of room up here, and the ejections could just miss. I'll think about it. But I'll have to do that thinking next time. I'd like to take 2/2 of a moment to thank my supporters on Ko-fi. I'm really hoping that having logistics chests will massively speed up my gameplay, because I do spend quite a lot of time just standing around handcrafting stuff. But with the chests, I'll finally be able to build a bot mall, which should save me a ton of time. And that's all for today. My name's DocJade. Bye-bye. I've been speaking for 2 hours straight. It hurts.